Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're working with a Vivid Expression set from Spellbinders, and I've got the eyelet scallop border, I've got the berry fields border, I have the blooming butterflies 3D embossing folder and cutting dies, I have got the ideal moment sentiments, and these are better press plates and cutting dies, and I have got the sweeping script sentiments, and these are better press plates. And I have got the pressed lace borders. And I think I forgot to show you the vivid script sentiments. I have those as well. We won't be working with those today, but we'll bring those in on another video. So I'm first going to start out with the eyelet scallop border. And I'm going to die cut it out of this white cardstock 3 times so that we'll have 3 of these eyelet scalloped borders that we can layer on our cardstock and create a pattern. So we're just going to die cut these out 3 different times, and we'll have 3 different strips of those. And you just lay it right on your panel. It does create a little bit of a mess because, you know, all those little eyelets, those little pieces come out. And so I'm just going to line this up right. I'm just trying to make sure I line it up just like I did the first one, because I want to lay them, you know, next to each other side by side on my card base so that we can create a interesting border on our card. So we'll get these, and you can see what I mean with all those little bits and pieces. I had just swept my craft room floor, and then I die cut these out, and I had a mess when I got finished. So I will warn you, it can be a little bit messy. So I'm going to get my third row of this scalloped border cut out, and then we'll be ready to start building our card. Just trying to get all those bits and pieces out and then release the border that I've got on there. And the 2-in-1 tool does help with that. And then you've got the edge die that you can cut the edge away that matches your eyelet scalloped border. And so I'm going to get all this cleaned up and out of the way. Try to get most of it in the trash can, but quite a bit does lay on the floor. So now I'm going to use the coordinating die that goes with it, and I'm going to lay it at just the edge of my paper. And I'm just going to put the bottom of the scallop on the very edge of my paper, and we'll just die cut the edge off. I'm going to need a second piece of tape. I didn't do it, and it didn't line up right, and then I'll have to go back and grab a piece of tape and lay it on there so it doesn't move on me. So once we get that tape on there, I'm just barely going to run the edge of that through my machine so that I don't, you know, put any marks or anything on my card base. I just ran that tip right through there, and we just took a little bit of edge off. Then I'm going to take these eyelet scallop borders and just lay them right alongside that cut edge, and we'll just line the 3 of them up on this panel, and it will create a nice little background for our card. So I'm started to bring in my glue gun, and I just decided that I would do the puddle method where I just make a puddle of glue and just drag these eyelets through there. I thought it would be easier than trying to get all these little lines of glue on there. And then I'm rubbing my fingers off just to kind of clean it off a little bit. And I'm grabbing some paper towel to clean my hands off. And then we'll get this laid down on there. And I'm just going to line it right up next to that edge. And it's a little long, and we'll trim the bottom off. Then I'm going to get my next one laid down. And I really probably should have done the one on the other side and then layered this up in the middle, because I'll wind up moving this just so I have a good spacing between there. And usually when I do, you know, 3 pieces like this, I'll lay one side and then the other, and then come back and put the middle in and center it. And that is the easiest way to get it centered, but this will work out just fine. And then because of the way I die cut it, and it fit with the scallop, I have a little bit of an edge there, so I'm just going to create a little bit of an edge at the bottom so that it will match. And then we'll just get it laid down on there. I think it looks really pretty, and it adds some nice texture and dimension to my card panel. Now for this, I thought it would look nice to have that edge laying on a different colored paper. And so I was just checking to see if that's the color I like. I did like it really well. And I'm just going to take an inch of it and cut it off. And then we'll lay it down on the inside of this card, and we'll have some definition between our scallop and the back edge of the card. And it was a little bit long, so I'll just trim it off. And now we've got a nice little edge on there where you can see that scallop very nicely. I'm going to use this scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to use this embossing folder and get some of the butterflies so that I can lay them on here. And I will show you how to use that embossing folder later in the video when I do a full panel. Didn't think I need to show it multiple times, so I just cut this portion out, and I'll show you on the other. I decided to bring in a white one, and you can see the dies lay inside of that, and you can emboss and die cut all at the same time. And so what I wanted to do with this light one is I wanted it to have like just a variation of color. So this one's going to be mostly white and just have a little bit of that blue color on there, and I think it'll just add some interest to the card. So we're just going to get our butterflies placed down on our card. I'm going to pop them all up just so we'll have some additional dimension. I'm just using some real thin foam strip. And we'll get it laid down on here. These cards are all going to be very simple, but they are going to be elegant, very beautiful. And we're just going to pull the release papers off, and we'll get these laid down on our card. And then the one that is just white with a little bit of coloring will get laid down on there. I think it looks really pretty. I love that eyelet border. And now I'm going to bring in this is just some watercolor paper that's cold pressed watercolor paper. I'm out of my cotton paper. I just ordered some, but I'm going to use this to do our press plates, and we've got our sentiments. And for this, I'm using the Ideal Moment sentiments. And these sentiments have happy birthday, get well soon, congratulations, celebrate, so proud of you. You've got this, handmade for you, made with love. From all of us, thank you, sending hugs and thanks a million. You've also got forever grateful, welcome little one. You're in my thoughts, you brighten my day. With deepest sympathy, happy anniversary, always and forever. You are my everything, happy Mother's Day, happy Father's Day, happy retirement, and hello, sweet friend. I'm going to bring in some of my Better Press inks, and I'm going to ink these up. I think I'm using hydrangea on one and just the black on the other. I thought the hydrangea would look nice with the color scheme that I'm doing, but I also wanted some in black as well. So I'll just get them inked up, and then we'll lay our watercolor paper on there, and we'll get them pressed, and then we'll be ready to die cut them out. I love when Spellbinders does this. You've got two strips of sentiments here, and then you've got two dies, and so you can just run, a pass through with your Better Press and a pass through with your dies, and you've got everything ready to go. So we'll just give this a press and see how it turns out. And it looks great. The black ones turned out great, and so did the blue ones. So I'll just remove it from my Better Press, and I'll bring in my Spellbinders plates, and we'll get these dies laid down on here. And they say top on each of them, so you know which one's the top, and you can tell which one goes with which, because one is narrower than the other one. And I'll get them taped up so they don't move, and then we'll get them die cut out. And just making sure I don't have it on any of my letters so it doesn't mess up my letters. And now we've got, 24 sentiments. And they're all ready to go. And so I'm going to choose one for my butterfly card. And we'll get it laid down on there. And I'm really needing some sympathy cards, some get well cards, and just some general cards. So I'm going to put sending hugs on this butterfly scalloped card, and I think it'll look really pretty. And then I'm just going to bring in some enamel dots, and I've got some light teal colored enamel dots that I'm going to use, and we'll just get some of those laid down on this card, and that will take care of it. And I think it looks very beautiful. So we'll get that laid down on there. And I just did 5. I did 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, and then 1 on the left lower side. And so now we're going to work on our next card. And for that, we are going to bring in the a couple things. We're going to bring in the pressed lace border set, and we're going to bring in the sweeping script sentiments, and we're going to do these together. So I'm going to bring in my press plate, and I'm going to lay one of the pressed lace borders down and then one of the sweeping script sentiments down, and we'll just do them together. I've got this cardstock here, I think it's Lagoon, and I'm going to get the press plate down there, and then we'll get the sentiment down there, and I'm just going to try and get it lined up straight and use the lines on my grid to get it lined up straight. And then we'll put our panel down right there in the A2 area. And I'm going to add some tape. I'm using my shirt and hand to take the sticky off just so it doesn't tear my cardstock. The pink pixie tape is it grabs a little bit more, and I didn't want it to tear my press plate. So for this, I'm just using the Better Press black ink, and I'm inking up both of them. This is going to be a very simple card, but it's going to be elegant as well. So we'll get the press plate on there. I'm just going to clean up a little bit of ink, just making sure I don't make a mess. You're able to get all that ink off when you get done. I just took it out in the kitchen. I sprayed some bleach water on it, and I used my Mr. Clean scrub, and it took everything off. Actually cleaned up the white areas of it too. Cleaned up real nice. So it looks really pretty. And now you've got the little edge die that you can lay right up against that Better Pressed scallop border, and then create a scalloped edge on this panel. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm laying it upside down on there because I'm just going to run just barely through, just enough to snip that cardstock with that die. And that way it doesn't mess up my plate or my panel. And just let it pop, and then I knew that it had cut, and then it's ready to go. And we've got a really pretty panel here. Simple but elegant. I'm going to bring in a top folding card base. I didn't have one, so I had to go grab one and score it up. And then we're going to lay our panel on here. Now we've got some, an edge at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and make an edge on the side so that we'll have a nice frame around there. So I'm just going to take it down to 4 inches. And then we'll have a nice little border around there. Just going to glue it straight down. Trying to get it lined up just how I want it. There we go. Now I'm going to bring in one of the butterflies that I'm going to use on this. And I think what I'm doing on this is I'm just going to lay, I've decided, I think, to lay all of them down and do a full panel. And then I can use the butterfly for this card, and I can use the other elements for my next card. So I'm going to get all the dies laid into the embossing folder the way that they go. So I think I have them all laid down in there, and now we're going to lay our panel in here, and we're just going to run it through our die cutting machine. And then we'll have all of the elements of our embossing folder ready to go. So just need to get my plate D and then just run it through. And then we'll get it laid down on here and we'll get all of our pieces cut out. And I did wind up putting some tape on there just to keep them from moving around. That one's kind of stuck in there, so I'm just going to pull them all out. I got all of my elements out. Now we're going to have plenty of things to work with on this card and the next card. So I've got my butterflies here, and I'm trying to decide, do I want to put 3 on there? How many do I want to put on there? And I keep messing around with it, and eventually I'll just put 1 on there. But I'm going to ink them all up because I'm thinking I might want to put them all on there. And I'm just using my Salvage Patina ink, and it matched really nicely with the panels. I'm kind of doing my 3 cards. I'm kind of going light to darker with my color scheme on the 3 panels, or the 3 different cards. All right, we'll get the desk cleaned up, and I'll fool around with these butterflies and trying to decide how many I want to lay down on there. And I'll just keep messing with them. Eventually, I'll decide on just the 1. And we'll go with that. We'll do some more blending. I was thinking about layering them. And then I decided to add some more color. And then we'll just get out the ink out of the way. We're going to bring in some foam tape, and I'm going to pop this up. Now what I do with it is I lay a single strip in the middle, and then I'll lay a strip on either side, and then I'll double up the strips on the other side so that my wings pop up off of that panel very nicely, and it's got a lot of dimension. And I think it looks really pretty. Now I'm going to grab some more enamel dots, and we'll just get this embellished. Get my Spellbinders 2-in-1 tool so I can pick them off of there. And one bead I think had fallen down on there, and I was like, oh. Or maybe it was the other card that happened on. Anyway, I'm going to put 3 at the bottom on the left side, and we'll put 2 at the top of the right side, and that'll finish it off. Very simple, and yet very elegant card. Really like how it turned out. Now I decided for this one I would go ahead and flip it over on the back and put handmade for you on the back of it. Since I had that pressed out, I thought I'd go ahead and do that. Just cleaning up the glue, and I've got it on there. So we're going to move on to the 3rd card, and we're going to use this the embossing folder pieces on this. We've got the corner, and I'm going to bring in some more Spellbinders cardstock, and I'm going even a little darker till. And I'm going to lay this embossed panel on it. And I'm going to use the flowers as well, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Not sure what I'm going to do. Kind of getting a plan here. And then I've decided that I want to emboss that panel. I think it's kind of plain. So I'm going to bring in my, I think it's called Fern embossing folder. And I'm just going to emboss this panel. And it'll add some nice dimension to it. And we'll just get it laid down on our card base. Give it a good press. Now, I don't want that stark white on there, so I'm just kind of keeping with the same color scheme on all of these. I'm going to bring in Salvage Patina. I brought in some other ones. I brought in Uncharted Mariner, and I'll wind up using both Uncharted Mariner and Salvage Patina on this. Now, this first, I'm going to do both panels. I have 2 panels where I have this corner piece, and I'm laying this Uncharted Mariner on there. And I like it, but I'm thinking maybe I don't want to use that for this card. And so I'll grab the other one, and I'll blend it up with the Salvage Patina. I just wanted to be able to compare. And that first one I blended with the Uncharted Mariner was actually the better press. I got a better press out of it than I did this one. And so I'm going to ink this one up. And I'm liking how this looks. But then I had another idea. I think that looks good on there. Then I decide if I take this salvage, I'm going to take the Uncharted Mariner and make it good and dark around the edges. So I'm going over it again and making a real dark contrast over the edges. Then I'm going to bring the salvage patina in and add it in the white spaces. And then we'll have some shadows and we'll have more dimension on this. And so I'm liking how this looks. I like that we have the two colors. One is lighter, one is darker. It makes great dimension, and I think it's going to work well on here. So I'm going to go with that. We'll lay the other one aside, and I'll use it for something else. I'm not going to waste it. Now I need to do the flower the same way that I did the corner panel. So I've got my mariner going around the edges, and then we're going to use the salvage patina and go around the rest of it. And I think it looks really pretty. And at this point, I've forgotten about my leaves, but we'll come back and add them in later once I get the panels laid down and I realize I've forgotten them. So I'm just going to lay this right in the corner, and then I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to get ample glue down because I've got two embossed panels. Get it glued down nice. I'm just going to cut off that part that's hanging over the edge. And then we're going to add our floral to this and just figure out how we want it. And I'm going to pop it up just so we have some extra dimension on that. I'll bring in that same foam tape and we'll put some foam tape on here and pop it up. And I'm just going to put it up there and just pop it up. Now I'm going to look for a sentiment. And I've decided with this card, I'm going to use with Deepest Sympathy because I need a sympathy card. And we'll get that laid down directly on there. Now for this one, I'm not going to add any embellishments to it because we've got so much dimension. But I am going to bring those leaves in, and I'm going to get them laid down on here. And we'll just tuck these leaves in. I'm going to put some foam tape on there and give them some dimension as well. And I think it looks stunning. We'll just clean up our mess and then we'll take a look at our 3 cards. I think they turned out really nice, and I've got a lot of sentiments and some extra pieces I can use for some other stuff. Now I realized that I had the Made with Love, and so I'm going to lay it on the back of this before I get everything put away. I like that they included those sentiments on there. So here's our butterfly card and our hello card, and then we've got our 3D embossed card, and I think they look really, really nice. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.